prayer, faith, action, and charity. And if everybody did that, imagine what this world would be like. Governments would crumble. They'd be gone. If people woke up to the heliocentric lie, all of the other nonsense would go away. All of the fake staged wars, right? All of the separation of countries, which is fake. It's all insanity. They divide and separate, divide and conquer. Okay. So if people wake up, reclaim who they are, use their thoughts to create their reality, this world can change overnight. And so when I say God help me, I didn't do this myself, right? And people say, well, aren't you worried now that you're causing a problem? I think I'm protected. I understand how this place works, and God has my back.
All right. Welcome. Good afternoon. This afternoon, I have Mr. Dave Weiss joining me. Dave is as far as I know, the host of the Flat Earth podcast, and as well as the creator of the I just had it.
It's
up,
a mouthful. It's a mouthful.
Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which I do have, Sarah, which I find a fascinating little tool that you've created here. And Dave has agreed to give me some of his time today. I normally don't do video, but for this particular conversation, you really do need visuals to understand what Dave's talking about. So that'll be a new experience for me, editing some video. But Dave, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. And if you wouldn't mind giving your own introduction in case I've missed something, the floor is yours.
Excuse me. I'm just a normal guy, kind of like everybody else. I started a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, where I'd say we were conspiracy analysts. I don't like the word conspiracy theorists because people just believe theories all the time and never analyze them. So I'm a conspiracy analyst. And then Flat Earth kind of came across. And as any normal person would say, that's the dumbest crap ever. I'm not even going to look. And then I was forced to look. Went in with a closed mind, trying to debunk it, trying to prove the globe. And that's how we end up in this place where you start to see that the world is not as described, or not as told to us by the powers that want to be, that control us. Now, it is described that way in many religious books, like the Bible has over 200 verses that refer to a flat, non-moving plane. And lots of the stories in the Bible too. But I don't ever lead with the Bible because there's plenty of science, real science. Flat earthers are not science deniers. They're actually we hold the feet to the fire, hold the feet of the people that are claiming they're using science. Someone saying, well, the sun is 93 million miles away and it's traveling at 500,000 miles an hour, while we orbit 66,000 miles an hour around it and spin at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator at different speeds and different latitudes. That's pseudoscience. That's nonsense because there's nothing to back it up. So here I am talking to people like you, talking to people that think flat Earth is ridiculous, and showing them why they think these things.
That's excellent. Yeah, I definitely had a very similar experience when someone brought up flat Earth to me.
Right?
I was a little incredulous because I was raised in standard school, public school. My mind was full of images of waterfalls off the edge and serpents and all of that stuff. So it wasn't until I ran into a few people who I respected, who said I should look into it, who said I should at least, just give it a shot, like listen to a couple of the most banned people. Let's be real. It's very challenging to find your content, especially on, YouTube or this other gentleman, Eric Dubay, who I think I saw a video of his on your app. I think it's 200 proofs of a flat Earth, which was fascinating to watch. it's also funny because I'm a game developer and we build worlds in the virtual engines the same way it seems that our realm may actually be constructed, where we have a flat plane that we have the game world on, and then we have a sky dome that maps the rotation of the stars in the sky. It's very similar to the
and you also have NPCs in your game.
No shortage, man. No shortage.
Yeah, well, that's this world has no shortage of NPCs. It's
absolutely
kind of amazing. There are too many similarities to a game construct. You know, people say we live in a simulation. I say we live in a physical simulation.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess getting into a bit of your background, you know, I think I've heard a few of your interviews and I really enjoyed all of them, and especially even some of the bad interviews, I suppose. Like you were on with this gentleman who refers to himself as like Professor Dave or something.
The failed musician who's not a professor, who dropped out of college, or you know, that guy who only has insults, strawman arguments, and funny voices and faces as the defense of the globe. That guy, yes. That
interview, I caught a piece of it, and it was actually what prompted me to look more into your work.
Nice.
Because I just was listening to this guy, and he was the least professional, the least humble scientist I've ever heard speak. Like, it was so tough to listen to that I was like, okay, this guy, this Flat Earth Dave guy must have something, because he's handling this very well for dealing with someone with that kind of an ego. It was very
So it's very funny. You know, just let's talk about Professor Dave, who's not a professor. He came out of nowhere. He got 2 million subs out of nowhere. So we did a live stream, and 0 of his subs showed up in the live stream. Like, he should have had 20,000 people in the live stream, right? But then all of his bots and trolls, they came over to my channel. You got destroyed by Professor Dave. I only agreed to do that under they begged me to do it, and I said
under duress.
Under duress. So I don't want to say that, but I said, okay, I have a list of 5 things that I want to present, and then he has to respond. They're like, yeah, no problem, moderated. He won't interrupt you, and instantly interrupt, faces, just childlike behavior. But you know what's funny is I've been saying, they're like, that you should leave Flat Earth because of that. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's more people that I'm reaching, more people that I'm getting so many emails, and it's just like what you said. They emailed me. They're like, I'm not a flat earther, but I watched your Professor Dave interview. Why did he behave like that? I don't understand what's going on here. And then I send them a playlist of a few videos. I'm like, watch these and you'll understand. And then they, a lot of them email back going, oh my God, this is a real thing. I had no idea. And if it wasn't for YouTube pushing Professor Dave's interview to the top of the list, when you Google Flat Earth, you get all propaganda and you get Professor Dave, because they think that it's bad for Flat Earth. It's actually really good for any thinking mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah.
So wait, just real quick, in the app, if you hit the web button, up come a bunch of things. And on the second row, we have debunking the debunkers. And you see his pretty face is right at the top there. And the top video on there is a 3-minute expose of him telling you he's not a professor and his life story. And then you can go down. So anytime you come across a debunking video, because if you Google Flat Earth, that's all you're going to get is debunking videos. Like top 10 reasons the Earth is flat, you're going to get top 10 reasons the Earth is not flat. Okay. And if you see one that how does Flat Earth explain that? Go to this list. We have broken it down for you. We've done the work for you. It's all in here on that list. So all those videos are there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's great. Yeah. I didn't know that was even in there. Like, there's so much content in the app that it's, I haven't even scratched the surface of it, and I've had it for a bit now. But yeah, so like, let's just get a little bit of your background to start off the talk, if you don't mind. I've heard you, I've heard you answer the same question a couple of times, but for my listeners who maybe have never seen a Flat Earth Dave interview, you mentioned that you were the host of Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole.
Correct.
Before you were interested in
Flat
Earth. What was it that got you into Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and then what is it that got you to where you are now doing Flat Earth stuff?
all my life I questioned things, and one of the earliest memories I have in school was when our teacher, either in kindergarten or first grade, was showing us how gravity worked by swinging a bucket of water around on a rope. And I actually, at that time, I wasn't a flat earther. I was a kid, a little kid. I said, "Doesn't the water have to be on the outside? Because the ball, the globe, the oceans are on the outside, not on the inside." And the teacher goes, "That's a good point." He goes, "But this is how the book tells me to teach it, and this is how I'm going to teach it." And I think it was that point right there that my mind just said, "Okay, school is a joke, right? You're not allowed to question things, and it's only taught the way that the books say." And years later, I was looking at all sorts of things, and the first thing I was really looking into is what was money and the Federal Reserve. And then I realized the Federal Reserve wasn't federal at all. It's a private bank, a bunch of unknown bankers, and then how money is created. I'm like, oh my God, they pull it out of thin air and then they lend it to the United States at interest. And I'm like, wait a minute, where does the interest come from? Oh, they borrow more money to pay the interest, right? More fake money. And that fascinated me. Then I got into Alex Jones. I found Alex Jones, who, many people say is a gatekeeper. Well, he didn't gatekeep me. He actually channeled me, he brought me in, and then, I've outgrown him. And so we were, myself and my buddy Tim Rothschild. That freaks everybody out. Not every Rothschild family is. He was a middle class family in Nyack, New York. His father was a carpenter or something, and I think he was even adopted. Who knows? But we were every day talking about in the lunchroom Federal Reserve, talking about some conspiracies, and everyone gathered around us every day, like, oh, they're here, right? And we had a big crowd. And he said to me, hey, I got a friend who's a comedian in New York, and Stand Up New York Comedy Club has a podcasting studio, and they're looking for a podcast. We have an idea. We can do a podcast there where we'll be the truth seekers and he'll be the comedian that tries to turn everything into a fart joke. And I'm like, what's a podcast? Right? And he's like, it's a radio show, but it's recorded. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm down with that. And so we started Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And we had no restrictions, nothing, nothing. No, we really had nothing except they gave us all the equipment in the studio. And so the first one, we decided to break down 9/11. Okay. And so and this is in New York City, right?
I'm from New York City.
Yeah. So. And by the way, 99% of the people, maybe it's less now, of the people in New York City have no idea that Building 7 fell. They have no idea. They have no idea anything. Okay. And so we broke down 9/11, and we do 2 hours. Was it 2 hours? No, it's just an hour. Each show is an hour or two. I can't remember. We do 2 shows in a recording. I think they're just an hour each. And I broke down 9/11. By the time I was done, I didn't even pay attention. The bleachers in the studio filled up with people. The executives from the studio were sticking their head in the windows, and they're all standing there. They're holding their heads. They're like, "What the hell just happened?" It was they had no idea of any of this information. And so the first one, episode 1, is called 9/11 is Dave's Baby, right? Because we always take a line from the podcast and make it the title, and it was very funny. Okay. But that's where it started, and then it went downhill. It went uphill from there. We got into the Boston event, the Connecticut event, all the fake Bang Bang events and plane crashes and all of this stuff all of the time. And, and then other stuff too, like plant medicines and all sorts of stuff. But then in the 3rd year, people started sending me flat earth stuff, and I just delete them and ban them for life for even suggesting that I even look at something so stupid. And then it was my friend Sophia Smallstorm who did 9/11 Mysteries, one of the big videos on 9/11 early on. And she did Unraveling Sandy Hook in 2, 3, 4, and 5 dimensions, another must see for those of you still stuck in that mind trap. And we were talking about the crazy deceptions going on in the world. And I was blown away. We were talking about some crazy shooting event that happened. And I was like, there's so much deception. It's amazing. And she goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think the earth might be flat. And I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, are you kidding me? Excuse my language. I couldn't believe it. And she's like, no. And she sent me Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs and Mark Sargent's Clues. And I watched them. reluctantly. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just look a little further into this because this is interesting, but it can't be. The Earth can't be flat. And at that time, 2014, 15, 2015, 16, somewhere around there, YouTube was really good. Their algorithm goes, oh, you like this? Here's some other flat Earth videos that other real content providers put up, and they would feed you video after video after video. You search something, you could find it on YouTube rather than propaganda coming up. You search flat Earth now, anything with flat Earth in it, you get the same videos every time. You could search A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth. Okay, that's one of the biggest videos out there, and you'll get all propaganda. That one won't even show up. If it does, it's like on page 17 or whatever. Okay, and it has millions and millions of views. It's been taken down several times, but it's up. It's on multiple. You can't find it. It won't show up. And that one is the top 21 questions asked about flat Earth, and they're answered in 2, 3, 4, and 5 minute segments. So that's how I got into it. And then I literally tried for 2 weeks to prove the globe, disprove flat Earth. And at the end of that 2 weeks, I came out, barely any sleep. And I was like, okay, it's not a globe. I don't know what it is. It's not a globe. And now, people say, are you a flat earther? I embrace that term like a conspiracy theory, but it's not flat. There's hills and valleys. Flat is just a description of level and horizontal. Right? Large bodies of water lay flat, horizontal to the downward vector. Any plumb line is perpendicular to any other plumb line, no matter where it is on the Earth. Down is down for you, for me. Up is up for you, for me. But left and right are different for you and me. Forward and backwards are different for you and me. Up and down are consistent. Lot to take in.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm kind of on board. I've been doing a lot of research for the last couple months, and I just find it very interesting. And I'd already basically written off the moon landing, and I think that's what kept my mind open to the idea of flat Earth, because I was already convinced that NASA was lying about the Apollo program.
Wait a minute. You don't believe we landed on the moon? you don't believe that this is real?
Look
at these guys. Yeah. Some people suspect that they're hanging from wires.
I believe they are.
No, stop that.
I believe
too many people would have to be in on it. Okay.
Yeah. I used to think the exact same way. But through conspiracy theory research, it really seems that only a small handful need to be on the plan, and many people who just are true believers will disseminate the information and keep the lie alive.
People are wondering what this guy's doing. He dropped his hammer. He's trying to pick it up. So imagine if that baby dropped a hammer on the floor and she's trying to pick it up. It's the same thing. He's trying to get a little momentum to get down there to pick it up.
Yeah. When you start really looking at a lot of this footage, especially, the more modern stuff with green screen technology, you start to really see the mistakes that get made and make them look pretty incredulous.
How about this one? So the lunar module gets there, it separates from the orbiter, goes down. 2 of the astronauts are on the moon, and this guy is still on the spacecraft himself. Who's panning this camera up?
I didn't even notice that.
Right? I'll show you again. So he's on the lunar module. He's orbiting by himself, and he makes that float away. Who's panning that camera up? There it goes. It's clearly floating up. They always put stuff around, make sure it's floating. Now, to me, I think this is done in a zero-G plane. He's on a zero-G plane in a parabolic arc. It's just a short little clip, and somebody's filming him, and he's showing how things float. And that's a simple way to do it.
Yeah.
It's only a few seconds.
Yeah, and didn't they also have a pan tracking the lunar module as it took off from the lunar surface too?
Right. And then how did that film get back to Earth?
Yeah. It blows my mind. I mean, we can barely communicate with cell phones if someone goes under some hills or something, yet you tell me in 1969 we were able to stream video from the moon.
Yeah, it's so insane what people will believe. It's shocking. It's
It
shocking. It's
is.
just
It is.
shocking.
Well, I think it goes to just the lack of critical thinking and the power of indoctrination that goes on in our education system these days.
100%. Now, our education system, in school, how much of what did they tell you about your brain? You only use what
10%.
10% of your brain. That's the goal of school. Okay. Because if you use 100% of your brain, that would mean you're connecting with spirit and with nature and with other, the Akashic records, if you will. You're connecting beyond the physical. They want you stuck in the physical. And what do they teach you in college? They give you lots of opportunities. You can be in business management. You can be in finance. You can be an accountant. You can work in retail. You can, work in the food business. You can work in all of this, the slave things that make you a slave to society. And so you're a kid. The choices that you make are based on the options that you see around you. What do your parents do? What are your older brothers and sisters doing? What are they teaching you in school? And that literally limits you on this tiny little spectrum of what your future is. They don't teach you about entrepreneurship. They don't teach you about, hey, there's free energy in the ether, and people have pulled it out. They don't let you understand about vortex mathematics. They teach you, algebra and, regular geometry. Most people never even heard of sacred geometry. What's sacred geometry, right? And when you start looking into this stuff, it blows your mind. And so I tell people, if you have kids in school, they hate it, take them out. Okay. Going to college, that is the biggest joke. College is just to put you in debt. Everybody that wants to go to college, whether you can afford it or not, gets in. They'll give you loans. They'll do anything because they want you in debt so they can control you. Okay. And what do they teach you in college? Nothing, right? The social aspect of college gives you more life experience than anything you learn in college. Now, if you're going there to be a neurosurgeon, learn a trade, that's fine. But I don't know if do you listen to Crow 777? Excuse me.
I have listened to a couple of his podcasts. Yes.
And I always mention that one because I can't find a better podcast, right? They cover everything. And, the first hour is free. Second hour, you have to be a subscriber. I believe it's $8 a month. There's over 400 episodes out now. This is what I tell people. And I just got an email the other day. I say this in every show. I say, have your kid, send them out to the Cape somewhere cool. Get them a house, with a bunch of other friends there. And their college course is to listen to the 2 new episodes every week and 3 old episodes. So that's 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And that's it. They can listen while they're riding their bike. They can listen in bed. They can listen on the beach. If they have waterproof headsets, they can listen while they're kite surfing. It doesn't matter. Okay. They can do whatever they want. They can listen while they're gardening. Okay. They can do whatever. And just 2 hours a day. That person at the end of a couple of months, a year, is going to be more well equipped to deal with this world than any college person anywhere. And I got somebody sent Crow an email saying that finally, she was like, "Oh, that's a bold statement." And finally, she heard me say it so many times, she did it. And her son is now excelling in everything. He's blossoming and seeing options for, like, you know what? I want to be a boat designer. Like, I love boats, and the decks are not just laid out right, and I have better ideas. Well, go do that. Follow that information. You're good with electricity. Well, there's a guy on YouTube that pulls electricity out of the ground. It's amazing what he does. He gets like old electrical parts and he does like all this crazy stuff. Well, channel that, make that something, right? You like history? Well, don't follow the history in school because that's all lies. There was an advanced civilization here over 100 years, just 100 years ago, advanced in the early 1900s, late 1800s. And there was a reset that happened somewhere in the 1800s, we think. That reset the world. I don't know if it was man-made, God-made, or what it was, but there was a reset. And once you start looking into these things, Tataria and these buildings that have Antiquitech on them that are transmitting energy and using water, people that follow that passion might be able to figure that stuff out. But most people, maybe even you, never even heard of these things. If our thoughts create our reality, right? Our feelings, like if everyone's like, oh my God, this is the end of the world, the economy is going to go through the roof. And if everyone thinks that, it's going to happen, right? But we have the ability to change this. That's why they use all this propaganda, all of this fear on the news. The news steers our minds, right? That NEWS, North, East, West, South, steers our mind with fear and lack. And they're trying to get us to manifest the world that they want. They're trying to depopulate the world right now. Yes. Okay. And and people are allowing it to happen by being asleep. That's why I left my own company. That's why I walked away from more money than I ever thought I could make to do this, because I want a future, right? I want to say I want a future for everybody, which is absolutely true. But I want a future for me. I want a future for my kids. I want a future for everybody, right? Some people take that out of context. Oh, Dave's in this for himself. Fuck yeah. Okay, I am. I'm in it for everybody, though. I want a better world, and I'll tell you something. The flat earthers that were around are truly amazing. Like we have where are you located?
I'm in the southeast.
Southeast. Don't say South Carolina.
No, Georgia.
Well, you're close. In October, we're having a festival in Greensboro, South Carolina, called Flattoberfest.
Yes, tell us a bit about Flattoberfest.
Well, first, this is my app. This is the Friend Finder. All of these are the people that are near me. This circle is 50 kilometers, and I'm just about to break 400 people. 391. I could send a message to all of them. Hey, we're having a meetup at the Joe's Bar and Grill, whatever, on the 27th, and bam, all the people show up. You meet new people. People are getting married. People are new best friends because all of these blue dots are awake and aware people. Hard to find these days in NPC zombie land. Okay. So all of these people are cool people, and you can message them. You can pull up their profiles. The ones that have little chat heads in them have profiles filled out, but I can tap on a dot and I could send a message to a user, or I can send a group message. So that's just an amazing thing. So if you hit the shopping cart, here are flat earth related stuff. And if you scroll down right here, meetups, this is Karen B's site. And if you click on that up, it opens up flatearthfestivals.com, and you go to events and Flattoberfest. So if you hit the events, there it is, events, Flattoberfest. And so I think it's October 21st, 22nd, 23rd. The first day is a free meetup in a park across the street from the venue, and everyone kind of just hangs out and basically eat food and have some drinks and talk about the world. Most amazing thing, every single person there is the coolest person you've ever met. Hard to say.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone has so much in common. It's amazing. The ticket price right now is $133.33. The early bird was $122.22. In a month and a half, it's going to go to $144.44. And then for the last 2 months, it'll be $155.55. Karen loves her numbers. But right now, many people go $133.33. What are you guys, Freemasons? So that's Flattoberfest. So check that out.
And just for anyone listening, you're not a Freemason.
I am not a Freemason. So many people say they am. And the other thing is, we're the Flattoberfest, now that you're on that, a recent TikToker did an expose. Oh my God, the tickets are $33.33, and it's at the Shriners Club. Well, the Shriners, it's not a lodge, it's a warehouse with a stage, and they rent it out to anybody that check will clear. Okay. And Karen B was looking for many places to go, but during the whole COVID thing, they were all requiring shame muzzles on your face and other things stuck into your body, and limited capacity. The Shriners Club, or whatever it is, they didn't have any restrictions. Like, no, it's all yours. Do whatever you want. And so we went there. Never saw anybody in a funny hat or a funny apron. There's nothing on the walls. It's literally chairs and a stage and a room with air conditioning. It's kind of nice. And so that's where it's at. And then this year we tried to do it in Myrtle Beach, but it was too expensive, and there was a whole bunch of things. So again, back to the most convenient and least expensive place to help people, so we don't have to make the ticket price $300.
$333.
$333.33. You know,
that's fascinating.
Yeah. So there's so much. There's so many people. Here's a problem, and maybe let me know if you have this in video games. Do the NPCs in your video games become dumber over time?
That might be a feature.
Yeah, because
certainly a feature of where we find ourselves in this reality.
Something has happened now where people will just believe anything. Like if I accidentally put my hands together like that for 2 seconds, someone will take that clip and go, "You're not free, mate." Like, what the heck does that mean? When I was a kid, that weird, we thought that was something else. Which so it's so stupid.
It is. But in this day and age where everyone's trying to, I don't know, information is so crazy. There's so much. There's so many different, avenues for it. Everyone wants to find some way to discredit somebody else, and it's
Well, here's the thing.
tough.
You can live your life not trusting anybody, because there's a lot of untrustworthiness out there, but that's no way to live your life, because you're going to just attract untrustworthy people. I trust everybody. I trust you. I don't know you. We just started talking, and we hit record, and here we are. I trust everybody until they screw me over once, and then I don't trust them anymore, right? I'd rather live my life like that. I'd rather get screwed over, and generally, I can look at you. I'm looking at your face. I hear your voice. I listened to a little bit of your podcast. You seem like a stand-up guy. You seem like a guy looking for truth, looking for figure out who you are, where you are. I can tell a lot from just looking at you, right? And people don't realize the power of someone's face, but they've shame muzzled people, and then you can't really tell what the hell's going on. Yeah. I mean, micro expressions. Parents that wear a shame muzzle on their face in front of their infant children should have their children removed from them. That is retarding their brain growth. Yes. Okay, because micro expressions are everything. The tiny little movement of your mouth or cheek or eyes tells a more of a story than any words you can say. Crazy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I've seen some recent studies saying that during this last 2 years of people wearing those all the
careful what you say. Okay,
the last 2 years of people wearing those on the regular, it has actually damage the development of many school-age children.
Oh, absolutely. Beyond. And little children, they're not going to be able to empathize with people properly. They're all going to be autistic, in the way that they look at people, and they're like, I don't know what that facial expression means. Yeah. I don't know. And there's so much damage that's coming from that. It's unreal.
Yes.
Let alone the fact that there's no science behind the use of it for the purpose that it was intended for.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, in fact, it's against, it's well known that wearing these sorts of things on your face for long periods of time in the health guides say not to do what we're doing. Like in the actual training for health professionals, it tells you not to wear face diapers for the length of time that we are. But that's
if they can convince you that this is where you live, they can convince you that the boogeyman is going to fly through the air. Now, to be honest, to be clear with you, I have monkeypox, but I have no symptoms because I'm asymptomatic.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all day.
Oh, Dave, that's pretty funny. But we got off a little bit on a tangent.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, no.
Back
all of that stuff was fantastic, and that image. I remember when I saw that animation of the sun flying through the galaxy, corkscrewing. That was the first time I was able to sort of imagine it based on what they're telling us, and it started creating some serious cognitive dissonance in my mind. Serious problems, especially like this, right? Why is the North Star always where it is if we're corkscrewing and spinning through space and assuming what they tell us in science is true, everything else is also doing the same thing in 4 dimensions, flying all which way and what in a void of space.
Flat Earth, Ball Earth Dave here. Let me answer that for you. It's so far away that you don't notice the parallax, even after decades and decades and thousands of years. And all of the other stars are mirroring our motion, moving with us in unison, just like all of the planets stay on a flat plane chasing the sun. They're all on a flat linear plane chasing the sun. It's amazing, isn't it? And you know what? All of this can happen because of gravity.
Gravity, right?
Gravity. Right. Gravity's so cool.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way. Gravity, yeah. These things are fascinating. Like getting into gravity, I guess, since that seems like a nice stepping off point. I've heard it described as buoyancy and density, and then an electromagnetic force. And you said yourself, you used to work in solar panels, I believe.
Yeah.
And I've heard, I'm not sure if it was from you or some other skeptical person, that modern science has a hard time with solar panels, understanding why they work the way they do.
They have a theory on how they work. Isn't that funny? They theorize.
Yeah, it is interesting.
That a photon originates in the center of the sun. It takes 1 billion years to come to the surface. That's fun. And then it takes 8 minutes to get to Earth. And then it crashes into the solar panel and knocks a boron molecule out of the wafer, out of the silicon wafer, and an electron will jump in to fill its space. And then the next one that gets knocked out, that electron will move and another one will fill in and it creates a current. It's a theory. It's not the truth.
Yeah.
Because they can't figure it out if they think the sun is a burning ball of hydrogen 93 million miles away, rather than a transformer, a point of energy sending electricity to Earth. We're electrical beings. Everything's electrical. The only forces are electricity and magnetism, which are brother and sister. And because they can't conceive that it's like a Tesla coil sending electricity, they can't theorize because their minds have been channeled in that indoctrination system that we call school, right? So they're making up stories because it has to be. You know what?
Right.
Gravity, there has to be 96% dark matter and dark energy because of gravity wouldn't work without it. Therefore, it has to be. Okay?
Yes. They're solving for that unknown based purely on their theory. They won't break out of that theory at
Look
all.
how cool gravity is. It holds all these containers on this ship upside down. It's so amazing.
Yeah, you know, I see things like this and I hear some of the arguments for it, but that would be how an observer outside in a spacecraft, if assuming the globe model and modern science, that's how an observer would see the Earth. They would see a boat upside down if they were looking down at the Earth from a third perspective. Yeah. So when people kind of like roll their eyes at it and they talk about relativity, I'm like, well, no, that's just relative to observing it from third person.
The moon's gravity pulls the water away from the Earth. That's ridiculous. Because if it did that, it pulls the water away. And then you know why there's a high tide over here?
No, why? Why is that?
According to science, right? The liars that make up crap, it's pulling the Earth away from the water. Isn't that crazy? This is what Neil deGrasse Tyson says. The moon pulls the water away from the Earth, and it pulls the Earth away from the water on this side, and the Earth actually rotates in between those bulges. Your mind is trying to make sense of that. Don't bother, because you can't. It's the dumbest crap ever.
Yeah.
And it can pull oceans, but
not rain.
But how come it doesn't affect the rain? How come the rain doesn't go towards the moon?
Yeah. And how come when the sun is aligned with the moon, it doesn't just pull the whole system with it, you know, completely out of whack, or pull the moon from the Earth?
Right. When the moon comes around the Earth towards the sun, shouldn't it speed up because the sun's gravity? And then
Yeah.
shouldn't it slow down as it goes away again? The sun ignores the moon. It ignores all the moons of all the other planets, but somehow the sun could hold on to Neptune and Saturn and Pluto, but it ignores their moons.
Mhm.
And the globetards will go, well, that's because the gravity of the planet is much closer to the moon and it negates the sun. Well, our moon is 250,000 miles away, and the gravity from Earth turns off the gravity from the sun. I only have one word for this, and it's retarded. Okay. I'm sorry. There's no better word for it. Maybe that's why they tried to eliminate the word retarded from society, because they're like, you know what? One day they're going to figure out that all of cosmology is retarded. So we have to get rid of the word.
Yeah,
we have to make it
describes too much of it.
socially unacceptable.
Yeah.
So they demonized it.
Mm. Yeah.
So this is showing the real quick, the three-body problem. You can model two bodies in a computer orbiting each other, but as soon as you put another body in there, the entire thing goes into chaos mode, and no computer can figure out what it's going to do other than a very short, minutes or seconds into the future.
Mm.
Okay.
I wasn't familiar with that computer modeling.
Yeah. So the best computer in the world, you put a sun in there, say, all right, I got this, I got a moon going around it, and you put in the masses and the orbit, and it'll predict it perfectly forever. And then you add in another moon or another planet orbiting, and the entire thing goes into chaos mode, and no computer can figure out what it's going to do next. Do you think there's more than 3 bodies that we're dealing with in this universe?
I mean, based on their model, yeah, they've admitted
there's like
that
80 in our solar system,
right? Yeah,
okay, yeah. and we've had some alignments in the last couple of years where all of the planets are in alignment. Shouldn't that nudge something out of the way, right? Shouldn't that nudge something? Absolute, complete, and total insanity. So what is gravity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little experiment that my friend Zach did. He's got helium balloons holding up. This is actually just a metal button taped onto a wire that's the hook to a Tesla coil. And he's going to add a positive charge to it. Okay, it's at neutrally floating, positive charge added, and it goes down.
Yeah.
Why? The ground is negatively charged. Negative charges, positive. Discharge it, it goes back up. Why did it get heavier? Right? It's because everything on the ground is attached to this negative charge. When you lift up off the ground, the sky, the air, everything is positively charged. You're surrounded by that field. Okay? And so the Earth does not move. So it says, hey, down is this way. And it's a weak force, just like they tell us gravity is a weak force. Okay? But the electrostatic pull, the electrostatic charge, even, the pseudoscience scientists say it's thousands. I forget the number, but it's like thousands of times stronger than gravity. Huh. Interesting. They're saying gravity is weaker than this force. Okay. So, if we put a negative charge into something, this gets a negative charge.
Starts to fly.
It repels. And it's not, the wire is still keeping the negative charge in the way because it would get a positive charge as soon as it leaves the ground. And as long as we keep the negative charge in there, it goes up in the air. Interesting, right? And then MIT just built this plane that has no moving parts. It's all done on the charge of the plane.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, that's people are like, what about the secret space program? I believe we have a secret propulsion program, an anti-gravitic or magnetic, whatever, propulsion system. Use burning fuel and exploding things to make things move is ridiculous. There's free energy everywhere, and that's been proven. I freaking have a Tesla coil here that pulls energy out of the ether. Okay.
Yes, the ether, right? That's another one of those things they don't really talk too much about in modern school or anything. It's been sort of debunked or whatever you want to call it. They don't even. I forget exactly where I read about the dissolution of the ether when it came to scientific theory. But from what you're telling us, and from also some of my personal research, the ether is another medium all around us. And this comes into play with the model that you have right there, where we have the sun and moon and the Earth with the positive and negative charges. and how we're living in a sort of a battery-like system.
Correct. The Earth that has a negative charge, the sun and the moon are the anode and cathode. The salt water carries the current. Maybe that's the reason we have tides in salt water and not fresh water. Maybe that's one of the reasons. And so it's like a giant battery system. There's energy everywhere. Put a plant in front of a fluorescent light and put a plant in front of a fire. One of them is going to shrivel up and die. The other one's going to grow. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's energy in, they're lying to us about light. They're lying to us about air. They're lying to us about water. They're lying to us about everything. It's all friggin' lies on what this place is. And they're lying to us. The old saying is, don't put the cart in front of the horse. You got to put the thought and the feeling in front of the manifestation. Okay. You got to feel it and think it like you already have it for it to show up in your life. Like when you're going to get something, like you see this new car, you're like, I'm getting this car. And you know, without a doubt that you're getting it, you already feel it. You already have it. And then you get it. But if you're like, I'd love to have that car, but I'm never going to have it because I'm never going to be able to afford it, and blah, 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 then you're pushing that car away. Okay. That's just a physical, a material thing. But everything, like people like, I never can find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Yes, that's true. Right. I can't imagine. Yes, that's true. You can't imagine. Okay. Because if you started imagining, and had, they say, what is it? Prayer, faith, action, and charity. Do all four of those things every day, and your life will be amazing.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I do agree, you manifest a lot of what you want or don't want. If you focus on the fact that you are single or doomed to never find a wife or something, it'll affect everything in your behavior, in your mindset, and how you act in the world, and you will make that a reality.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's the way this world works. This world is conspiring to deliver you everything that you're thinking. Look at your life, analyze critically the way that you think, and everything you have matches. It matches. People are like, well, I want $1 million. And what they're really saying inside in their feelings is, I don't have $1 million. I'll never have $1 million. It's unfair. Woe is me. Okay. And or I'm alone, or I'm gonna die at 80. Well, yes, you're gonna die at 80. I'm gonna get cancer and die. So many people have these things that happen to them in their lives, and then they change the way they think, they change their action, they have faith, and it changes. It goes away.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right?
I've experienced it myself.
Everyone experiences it. They just don't admit it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're feeling shitty and you go to a party, a group of people, you're going to surround yourself with other shitty feeling people. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Say whatever you want. Yeah. So, I'm the only one I'm trying not to swear. Personally.
I'm trying not to swear too. But honestly, with what's going on in the world, come on, some words that are descriptive, let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go. And you're going to surround yourself with other people. And then somebody bubbly, happy is going to walk in a room and you're going to go, oh, that person's so annoying. Right? Yeah. Birds of a feather flock together. Thoughts of a feather attract. I don't know. I'm trying to attract other thoughts. I was hoping that would rhyme somehow. You guys you ever watch Freddie, his name, Harry Mack? Harry Mack?
I don't think I know Harry Mack.
Look him up on YouTube. This guy is a rapper. He goes around everywhere. Side note. And he says, can I do a freestyle rap for you? Give me 3 words, crazy words, anything, onomatopoeia, it doesn't matter. Summer, whatever. And he'll sing a rap song about those words that tells a whole story. And it's amazing, never screws up, rhymes. Harry Mack. Literally my favorite, put a smile on your face, YouTube. It'll blow your mind. Harry Mack, everybody. Go there. 2 things you got to do today. Harry Mack, YouTube, and Crow 777 Radio. And then your life will change. Also in the app, if you hit the homeschool button, a new button, we got Crow 777 right here. Okay. We got history, which is basically the John Levy channel. We have science with Kyle Adams. And then we have children's books, Flat Earth Man. Amazing. He's coming out with a whole series of books based on his music, which can be found here. Whoops, not there. There, his book said in the book section, but Flat Earth Man right here. If you haven't seen his stuff, adults and kids, amazing lessons, funny, interesting, and educational. Check it out.
You know, we've covered quite a few different topics so far,
Yeah.
but we really haven't talked about.
Go ahead.
We really haven't talked about the real visual proofs, I think, that are the most convincing. And I think what really, it's going to be different for everyone, but I think what really put me on board were the flight patterns, the video interviews you have with pilots, and the book you recommend, the emergency landings that prove a flat Earth. And when you look at the GPS paths of flights, GPS, which of course is controlled by NASA, who were founded by some very interesting people. People should look into who founded NASA. That's very telling. The straight line paths that make sense on a flat map, but not on a spherical map. That was mind-blowing to me, because you've brought up the point, you know, Southern Hemisphere flights always cross the equator to enter into another Southern Hemisphere point, regardless of how short or long it would be to just simply take the Southern Hemisphere flight across an ocean or something. And that really, yeah, you got the founders of NASA up there, some trustworthy looking faces up there.
Yeah, amazing. So we have our equator in the middle, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, all right? And if you're taking a flight from any northern location to any other northern location, would you ever need to cross below the equator? And the answer is no. And no flight does. Well, the same should be true for the South. Let's say I had a flight at a certain longitude and latitude in the north, going to another certain longitude and latitude in the north. I would just take that flight. Well, the same southern latitude and longitude to the mirror ones on the other side, it should be the same, but it doesn't. It goes, they take these crazy, trips. Like here, it should just go across the bottom, which is much even closer on the globe. But if you want to go to Western Australia, here's the flight route. It goes up here, all the way over to China, Singapore, and down. Let's look at that. Western Australia is over here. Straight line up, across China, Japan, Singapore. Straight line.
Straight line.
That's where it's going. So let's look at some of the equators, the stuff compared to the equator. Here's a trip. We go all the way up to Singal and then all the way back down. Why don't we just cut across here? Well, here it is. It's a straight line on a flat Earth map.
Yep.
Okay. Here's another one. From this one to Peru, right? Plenty of people want to go there. All you have to go is here, but it goes all the way up to Los Angeles, right? That's Los Angeles, and all the way down. Why didn't it just cut across? Well, here's the actual flight path. Okay, but northern to northern, northern to northern, never would ever have to go outside of this circle. The shortest path is a straight line. Any 2 points inside this circle would never cross that line. Straight path everywhere. But here, well, you don't want to go all the way around, so they cut straight line, right? And it's much farther. People go, well, Santiago to Australia, it should take longer than New York to London or whatever. Okay, and the answer is, if we both had a car and I had a Maserati and you had a Prius and we're going to drive across the country. No, you're going to drive halfway across the country. I'm going to drive all the way across the country. And there's no one's checking your speed. I'm going to get there before you because I could drive faster. So these southern flights prove to me how fast those planes are going. Right? Prove to me the tailwinds that they get are are you in a 200 mile an hour tailwind? Right? There's all sorts of tricks. Now, not sometimes this flight could go this way a little longer because out here there are winds that will sweep the plane along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's look at another one. Here is another one, goes all the way up again, down. Did we look at this one?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we did.
Yeah. So going back to the emergency landings, this is the one that gets me.
Yes.
Sometimes, emergency landing, someone's pregnant, having a baby, or someone has a heart attack, whatever. This plane landed all the way up here. Okay. Went all the way to Seattle, which is 1,000 miles out of the way. And how did they get there so fast?
Yeah.
If this is the flight route. Well, look at it. It's right on the line on the flat Earth map. Look at another one. This one went up to Moscow. Look where Moscow is. It's way up here. That's a long distance, right? And all of them are documented in this book. All of the news reports, the flight routes, the times, everything, okay? And you'll see that none of it makes sense. But look, it's right on that line. It lines up every single time on a flat Earth. This one went to Calgary, way out of the way. Calgary, right in line. Right? Pretty amazing.
What I find really amazing is that I know 2 air traffic controllers. And I also know some people who have been on merchant vessels, and they have told me the merchant vessels, they use something called the Mercator projection, which means they're not even using a globe-based map to do their calculations. And the flight controllers, when they're taught, I don't know how this doesn't pop into their heads while they're training, but they do all of their calculations, from what I've been told, on a flat plane that doesn't rotate. When they calculate flight movements, speeds, landings, and all the things that flight air traffic controllers get into, they don't consider a globe map.
This is the map that they use since 1945. And this is, pretty close to a flat Earth map. Is our map perfect? It's pretty darn good because, if you go back to my app, this is like I don't believe the sun that we see is actually the real sun. It's a point of a projection. It's a magnification, focus point of energy from beyond, within the dome, above the dome. You tell me. And when I watch the sunrise, I look at it, I'm looking down Long Island Sound, and I'm like, you know what? That doesn't look much farther than Montauk, which is about 65 miles from me. So that would mean during the day, the sun's only traveling 130 miles if it's going to set 65 miles on the other side of me. Okay? That's pretty darn slow. And guess what? The sun does move pretty slow. Understanding the sun that we see, we all see it in a unique position. But right now, look, the sun, it's noon in California, right? My friend PK is just waking up in Sydney, right? It's early in the morning for him as the sun comes around. And so we're looking down on the actual sun here. So wherever the sun is, I can call my friend PK and say, hey, what time is it? He go, it's noon, and if it was December, I'd say, where's the sun? And he'd be like, oh, the sun's right over me, because the sun is right over him at noon. And so wherever I call, so this is right now, this is December, and it's noon in Johannesburg, and the sun is directly over them, and it's super hot there. It's hot because the sun is directly over them. It's cold in Connecticut because the sun is far away. What happens when something goes far away? It's lower in the sky. Even though it's the same height, it's lower. If you and I were outside, freezing cold, 20 feet apart, sitting on the ground, and someone's holding a heat lamp 10, 15 feet over your head, big heat lamp, you'd feel that heat. It would melt the snow around you, right? And I'd say, that's your summer sun. Where is it? And you'd go, oh, it's up there. And I go, well, I see it over there. That's not as high as up there. But if that person walked over to me, keeping it at the same height, and you were pointing at it, you'd be going, it's going down, down, down.
Yeah.
And I'd see it. It's coming up, 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 higher. That's our seasons. The sun migrates between these two tropics. That explains seasons.
Yes.
You look at
But
my
yeah.
Professor Dave interview, I tried to explain to him how come when we see the sun, when I see the sun here in Connecticut in June on the horizon in the morning when I'm fishing, that sun is hot. I get a tan. I can get vitamin D. I can feel the heat. But in the heliocentric model, that's the most severe tilt possible
Right.
over the ball.
Right.
And it's 3.5 million miles farther away than it is during our winter. And in December at noon, when the sun is as high in the sky as it gets, I can look at the sun. I can't feel the heat on my face. And it's 3.5 million miles closer with a much more direct angle. This whole
Yes.
tilt thing is here it comes, retarded.
Yes.
I'm now,
That
I just
makes
thought of this on this show. I am now convinced the reason they demonize the word retarded is because it explains heliocentrism. I'm sorry. That's going to be a new t-shirt, by the way. Heliocentrism is retarded. Okay.
excellent.
Yeah. And if you want a t-shirt right here, this is my t-shirt shop in the app. Cool shirts.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hadn't realized before. I'd heard the explanation of the tilt and the direct rays, and then how far or close to the sun in the heliocentric model that was what they used to explain the seasons. But it never really occurred to me that things would be closer and more direct, or vice versa. However, your system makes way more sense. Why, if the sun is closer and migrates between the two tropics, that makes a lot more sense to me why the seasons happen the way they do. Whereas in December, it's cold here, but it's going to be warm in Australia
because the sun is closer to them. It's higher in the sky.
There you go.
And people don't realize during our summer, the sun is farther from us. And during our winter, it's closer in the helio nonsensical BS upside down model.
Mm-hmm.
What about seasons in the frequently asked questions? You click that, up come a whole bunch of videos that explain it better than I just did. And watch those videos, because if you try to Google any of them, you're not going to find them. Google's hiding them. The fact that Google's hiding them should convince you to look, right? The fact that a fact checker tells you something isn't, that means it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So what was the sort of the impetus behind this app? You have so much. Was it just there was just so much information that you needed some way to begin your presentations?
Good question. This is long before I was publicly speaking. I just love talking to people about flat Earth, because the globe is the matrix. It's a prison for your mind, right? The educational system, narrows your thoughts. It puts you in a globe. There's nothing else to discover. Remember Truman? I want to be an explorer. Oh, there's nothing else to discover, Truman, right? And that's what it does. It basically limits your thoughts. And if you limit your thoughts, it limits your imagination. You limit your imagination, you limit your life. Okay? So I wanted, there was an animation of the sun going around. I was like, I wish I had that, and I was like, I'm going to make an app. I had made an app before. And so I made a little app with the sun going around and showing that it showed the seasons. So basically it was very basic. It didn't have all of these buttons over here. And I would be talking to someone about flat Earth, and I go, look, this is how it works. The sun goes around, the sun keeps track of the hours and the days, the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months, and the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. And so I made it, and everyone I showed it to, even though they were just learning about it, they're like, that's cool. Where can I get that app? I'm like, well, it's not really even available, right? So I was like, all right, I'll publish it. And I just had it on test flight. And so I published it for free, and everyone started downloading it. And everyone's like, oh, I had the zodiac, which I added. And then, hey, you could add a compass, and I added a compass, and could you add add this and that, and that started costing a lot of money. So I charged $3 for the app, right? And nobody complained. It was great. And so the app's now funding itself. So I started adding other things. And then the YouTube apocalypse came, and they hid all the information videos. So I added the video of the day. And here's the challenge I give people. If you think the Earth is a globe, watch the video of the day every day for 2 weeks. Short videos during the week, longer ones on the weekends. At the end of that 2 weeks, If you think the earth is a globe, send me one proof of the globe and I'll give you 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to hit the frequently asked questions button and make sure your question isn't in there, because it probably is. And so I started doing that. And then, now I have the archive button. We have the shopping button, which has, all different stuff on it. Right here, this is, I have a test version here, so I can't blow it up. But this one is pendants. My girlfriend, that's actually my girlfriend here, wearing it. And I just got this for my birthday, which is, see if I can see it. This is a flat earth.
Oh, right on.
Made by this girl. Now, if anyone's seeing this before she updates her website, click the thing, find her email address, email her, tell her what you want, and then she'll do it. And she'll be at Flattoberfest, hopefully having plenty of inventory, because they're not cheap. They're sterling silver. They're a real deal. So they're not $50.
That's awesome. So
yeah,
you'd mentioned that this is your full-time thing right now. So
yeah,
this is just you left sort of the world of mystery, her magical mystery solar panels that boggle science's mind. And you've started developing apps, and you're a full-time podcaster and speaker now.
Well, nothing's more fun than introducing people to stuff that you have found, stuff that you found in your life that makes you happy. Like if you're a new parent and you found like a really cool thing to do with your baby, you're going to tell all your other friends with babies, hey, do this thing. And then they're going to do it. And you're going to be like, wow, that was very satisfying, because we all want to make the world a better place, whether you know it or not. So all flat earthers love the same thing. We all love waking people up. We go out in the normie world. We go to a party with a bunch of globies, and all we're doing is looking around like, how can I bring up flat earth? Maybe my t-shirt, maybe they'll comment on my t-shirt. And so, because you can't just shove it down their throat. They have to ask the question first,
Yes,
so
yes.
You want to spark it. So the app helps people do it. People like get the app and they gift it to somebody. Hey, check out this app. Hey, this crazy guy's giving out Bitcoins for globe proof. Help me win the Bitcoins. I'll split it with you, So nothing's more satisfying than that, unplugging people from the matrix. That's what this is. That's what it does. So I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've got a really cool app. God willing, God, help me with this. I couldn't have done it myself. Like everything keeps falling into place with this, and people absolutely love it. People are getting married, as they said, new friends. People are doing meetups, and they start a Telegram group, and they have a meetup on the first Sunday of every month or whatever. And all new friends, right? Because guess what? You're going to lose some friends when you tell them you're a flat earther, but that's all right. That's their journey. They'll eventually come around. Okay. Yeah. Eventually, hopefully sooner than later. The app does so many things. I got the images, like just when you're talking to somebody about the moon landing, you go, oh, you think we went to the moon in this, and you could zoom in and show them some things, or, when you want to show them, here's this is what you're seeing. These guys aren't in space. They're in a studio, and, you could talk about, planets. This is what they want you to believe planets are. And, this is what NASA shows us Pluto is, with the friggin' dog Pluto on it. Right.
Yeah.
And that NASA never realized that we could take their picture from their website, put it into Photoshop, crank up the levels, and show you undoubtedly that it's fake. That is a composite, crappily done. I could do better, and I don't even have Photoshop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things about, the way technology is advanced. We're starting to catch all of these things that they didn't even predict in the 60s and 70s when they were putting a lot of that stuff together.
It doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up. And then, they contradict themselves too many times, or they say sort of absurd things like the lunar module was like three sheets of tinfoil thick metal, and they were concerned about dropping a wrench through it or extending a foot and putting their foot through.
And how does it hold the differential? How does it hold pressure?
How does that not get torn apart by a vacuum? like
You,
a
you
vacuum
put a
with a pressure
soda
right next to
can in a vacuum chamber. Before it's even a vacuum, it explodes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. How do these things, how can you reconcile these
Yeah.
things?
It,
Yeah.
it's so crazy. And I add new pictures. People are like, hey, here's a great picture. Can you add this? And I'll add it um, to the app. Here's the lunar module in 1972, but in 1964 they built this thing.
Mm-hmm.
To this.
Look at that.
Look at that. Come on. Look at this thing.
Di-
I
Disney
would be
wasn't sending
afraid.
their best.
Yeah. I mean, like it's so insane what people want to believe, right?
Yeah.
It's so insane. If you look at the ISS path and satellite paths, this is what they show you. Laid on a flat Earth, they're all doing circles.
Circles.
They're doing
Yeah.
interesting circles. Um,
That also lines up with you were talking about the tailwinds and the jet streams earlier. I believe if you lay those on a flat Earth map, they are circles as well.
if you hit this button right here, this brings you up to a special map. Then you hit the menu button on the bottom, change it to a higher altitude. So the height, 10 HPA, I think it's about 40,000 feet. And here are the
Wow.
winds. These pink and white lines are like 200 to 300 mile an hour winds, right? So jump in from, I think Santiago's there. No, Santiago's, whatever. Jump in from Australia, follow this around in a plane that maybe can fly 800 miles an hour by itself, add a 250 mile an hour tailwind. The times make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right? And these are pretty consistent. They change over time. For the last couple of months, though, they've been very erratic. They were different, and a lot of the flights. I'm hoping to find a way to find there's only one airline, Qantas Airlines, that has one flight which has a specific plane only flown by military Freemason pilots. Okay, that has 7 layers of heat resistant paint on it. Why does it have heat resistant paint on it? Is it going faster than they're telling us? Right. And a lot of times those flights are canceled because the winds aren't cooperating. I'm curious of correlation between the way this map looks, but I don't have the time bandwidth ability to do that. So if anyone's listening that wants to, keep track of how many times they're canceled and what the winds looked like on that day, and then the winds counter rotate. These inner winds are rotating this way, and the outer winds are going this way. That could have to do with like the vortex, the toroidal field that's coming through the flat Earth. But I don't know.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating things to think about. Something you mentioned before we got on that, though, that I've noticed that I've had you for a little over an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. But something that you mentioned God helping you. God helped you with all of that you're doing and getting the app out, and that's something that I think is really important that you've mentioned before. And when asked, what is the purpose of all of this? What is the purpose of the globe model? What is the purpose of hiding all this information from people? What are they really hiding, Dave?
Yeah, they're hiding what you truly are. Like if there's only one law. There's only one law. The universal law is don't do harm unto others. Don't harm anybody. There's no victim. Everything else is just policies and regulations and other things of people that are trying to control you. God, people, government. Government doesn't rule you. We rule government. Okay? Unless you allow the government to rule you. So if you believe you're on a spinning ball flying through an infinite universe, godless or distant God, asteroids could take you out, nuclear bombs could take you out, running out of water, running out of food, or running out of oil, all of that is nonsense. All of that is fake scarcity. The world's overpopulated. You can put the entire population of the world in part of Australia. Okay. They're lying to us about everything. They're hiding more lands. In my opinion, they're hiding massive more lands. Okay. They're hiding other worlds. Have you seen the puddle map?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So that map, to me, I like it. But here's the thing, whether it's true or not, I don't care. I want the ability to go see it. Right. Yeah. I want the ability to go to Antarctica. If we live here, I want the ability to go outwards and see what's out here. right? We might just be in a dome because, the Bible literally say, God created the dome, but also in the Bible it says Jesus had many houses. What does they mean by that? Maybe these are the many houses. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they could all be their own domes. You never know.
Yeah. So, and again, they could be connected with tunnels. And then we look at all the tunnels around the world. There's crazy stuff. Like Penn Station here in New York City, major hub. It was a Tartarian building, and in the 60s, they tore it down because it was too big to clean or too weird. So they tore it down and built another building over it. I was like, what? Okay. And now there's dozens of tunnels that are not used. Like, wait a minute. In the early 1900s, we built tunnels and then we're not even using them. These are all old world stuff. We came in and re-inhabited this place after the reset. And once you understand that our history is a lie and you start looking into those things, that'll blow you away. If let me just go back to the app for a second. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, hit the web button and then go to, where is it? Tataria mud floods. There's a Tataria mud flood buttons on here. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Boom, right here. Mud floods, right? Go there, check out the videos there. And then if you say, I like that video, subscribe to that channel. Then you even have more content. Okay. Subscribe to these channels and you'll see like, wow, you'll never be able to walk outside again and not be filled with wonder, right? How long you've discovered flat earth, like within the last year, right?
Within the last year, yes.
Have you been bored for a split second ever since then?
No, life has become far more interesting these last couple of years. Absolutely.
Right. And you've watched less movies, I bet.
You're right about that.
Right. Entertainment is entertaining your mind, right? The world is far, far more interesting than that. And they want to control your mind. So getting back to your question, why all of this? It's to make you feel insignificant, make you feel powerless, make you give up your world, make you stop imagining, limit your imagination with the heliocentric matrix, and literally control you. Get you to agree to put stupid things in your body. Get you to believe that your connection between yourself and spirit needs a middleman, a shame muzzle. Okay, get you to, and if you do it, it's on you. If I convince you to go kill your neighbor, that's on you. Okay, that's on you. If I tell you now, you know what? You should eat Skittles every day for the next 3 weeks. All right, because it's really good for you, and eat nothing else, no water, no nothing, just Skittles. Okay, that's on you. Okay. Right.
So I'm thinking about that. That sounds pretty good to me.
It sounds horrible. It sounds horrible. I just came up with that. Again, don't harm anybody else. Prayer, faith, action, and charity. And if everybody did that, imagine what this world would be like. Governments would crumble. They'd be gone. If people woke up to the heliocentric lie, all of the other nonsense would go away. All of the fake staged wars, right? All of the separation of countries, which is fake. It's all insanity. They divide and separate, divide and conquer. Okay. So if people wake up, reclaim who they are, use their thoughts to create their reality, this world can change overnight. And so when I say God help me, I didn't do this myself, right? And people say, well, aren't you worried now that you're causing a problem? I think I'm protected. I understand how this place works, and God has my back.
They don't want you to think about that. They don't want you to think that you are a created being and that there is a God who put all of these things into order. They want to sever that connection with your creator.
Absolutely. They want you disconnected from the creator because they don't want you using the power of your mind. And that power of your mind isn't just in your head, it's in the heavens above. You have this Wi-Fi antenna to your pineal gland, which they've calcified if you've listened to all the things that they stick in you and give you and put in your water and all of that stuff. They want you disconnected. They don't want you. The reason they hide this so much is because I was a full-on atheist, right? I didn't call myself an atheist, but I didn't believe in any of that nonsense. And then I discovered the earth is not a ball, which means it's intelligently designed, which means there's a creator, and that's it. And anybody from that point on that says, no, the creator is this, and you need to do X, Y, and Z, or you're going to hell, well, that person has got a problem, and don't make it your problem. Figure it out yourself. Follow people that you like. The way people interact with the creator, if that resonates with you, then do it that way. Figure it out yourself. Don't have somebody scare you into it. The organized religions, I think, are probably some of the most evil things going on, although many of the people in them have good intents. And many of those people give you good information. If you want to be a Christian and follow the strict Christian rules, that's great. Muslim, that's great. Buddhist, that's great. Whatever. If you want to be, you know what, there's a creator, I'm having my personal relationship with the creator, that's great. As long, they're all doing the same thing. You're all honoring the creator, right? And so people are like, well, if you don't follow the Bible, well, the Bible's been translated 1 million times. They've hid half of it from us, right? Things that, is it accurate? Is it 100% accurate? There's a lot of really great stuff in the Bible. Really good. I should probably read it. Okay.
I'd recommend it. Yeah, for sure.
I'm with you. But I listen to other people that read it for me and tell me stuff, and I'll listen to stuff. There's so much I want to do in this world. That's the other thing. The mind killer is fear and boredom, right? Fear and boredom. I am never afraid and I'm never bored. It's amazing. I'm disgusted at how stupid people are, and that we're in the middle of the movie Idiocracy, or close to the end at this point. But I have a positive outlook for the way this world is going, what can be done. And hopefully these conversations help people wake up.
Well, God bless you, Dave. I want to thank you very much for taking the time this afternoon to come and talk with me. I hope my listeners enjoyed the conversation we had. There's so much information that we didn't even touch on that I highly recommend everybody who's listening grab the app. It's like less than a coffee.
The app's $3. There's some premium features, which is sending messages. You can receive messages, but if you want to send messages, use profiles or use the dark sky weather app. If you tap the weather, it gives you a really great weather app. That's $11 a year. Okay. That also helps me support the app, because the app actually costs more than $3 for each person that gets it. So without the subscribers, I can't move forward, but people love it. It's $11 a year. That's a margarita and a crappy tip for the bartender. Okay. People are like, I'm not spending $11, but I'll buy a round of drinks for my friends who are just going to act like assholes. And then, go home and feel like crap tomorrow. But $11. All right. I highly recommend it.
Absolutely. I do as well. They can also find you at DIRTH.
Easy. This is my YouTube here. DITRH stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. But if you forget all that, like DIRTH, flatearthdave.com, all the links are there. My DITRH YouTube is there. My interview channels are there. The crash course is there, right? The Flat Earth Crash Course, which is a list of movies. Turn off Netflix for a week, get rid of Netflix, and watch these one movie a night. You'll be blown away. They're so entertaining, and they're so filled with information. And then your mind is going to open, and your imagination is going to spread, and your life is going to open. So flatearthdave.com, you can book me there. You can get support. If you're having a problem with your phone, hit the support button. If you have a suggestion for a featured video, or something that you need to send to me, keep it short. There's a contact there. Okay. I might not get back to you right away, because if I try to clear out my emails, it takes me about 9 hours every morning. Okay. There's if you want to book me for a show, if you have a show, or the best thing that you can do for me, if you have a big channel, like a TikTok channel or something, make TikToks. Don't point people to my website or to the app, or just spread flat Earth information yourself. Or if you know of a show, especially if they're not flat earthers, that would be willing to have this conversation, suggest me. Send me a link to their show. Send me the contact information, as much information as you can give me to help me, get on those shows, because those are the best. When I get on the shows, I was just on the Inspired channel, and we had a great conversation, and he's going to have me back again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic to hear, Dave. Well, I hope that in the future you do choose to read the Bible. As a Christian myself, I wish you the best. I mean, I understand that there are a lot of people who give Christianity a bad name, so I understand where you're coming from.
And there's a lot of people that give Christianity a good name. Rob Skiba, who passed away during this nonsense that happened. He was an amazing Christian, and he really, by example, he led people into Christianity by example rather than by telling them they're going to hell if they don't come. Okay,
Yes.
because when you grab someone by the shirt and pull them, they pull back, right? But if you set an example, people are like, that's interesting. There's many people, Robbie Davidson. There's Effed Up World, who is just always puts out great information, and that's how you attract. Like you don't, you want to attract some fish, you put some food in the water, and you say, look, this is what I'm doing, and check it out. What do you think? Right?
Yes.
And everyone will find their path if you allow
Yes.
them, but you can't drag them down it.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time, and glory to God for all things.
God bless you.